All right. Well, Shawn Carter, the superstar rapper and businessman professionally known as Jay-Z, has been accused of SAing a 13-year-old girl along embattled hip-hop mogul Sean 𝗗𝗘𝗘𝗧𝗦. This lawsuit was filed on Sunday, December 8th. Jay-Z has responded with a statement.
Basically, what's going on here is Jay-Z received this private mediation thing back in November, I believe. And in turn, this is a Jane Doe situation. So what was happening is he ended up filing a case against the attorney, Busby. Is that his name?
Yeah, Tony Busby.
Tony Busby, under a pseudonym, which he is talking about. Pretty much just called himself a celebrity or something like that. He filed that in return or in answer to what Busby did. So when it was going back and forth, it's pretty much a mediation at the end of the day. I guess we can get into that once we get to the other stuff. Jay wasn't going for it. So the guy was like, well, we're going to go public with it. And he's like,
that's
okay.
when everything went public.
So that's when it went public. So as soon as it went public, Jay-Z attorney dropped the response, and then this is the response to that.
I see. So for this, Tony Busby responds to, and this is not Jay-Z's response in that Rock Nation letter. There was another one that came after this one.
Yeah, so Jay-Z initially responded first, and then this is the response to that one.
So he says, regarding Jay-Z case and his efforts to silence my client, Mr. Carter previously denied being the one who sued me and my firm. He filed this frivolous case under a pseudonym. What he fails to say in his recent statement is my firm sent his lawyer a demand letter on behalf of an alleged victim, and that victim never demanded a penny from him. Instead, she only sought a confidential mediation. Since I sent the letter on her behalf, Mr. Carter has not only sued me, but he has tried to bully and harass me and this plaintiff. His conduct has had the opposite impact. She is emboldened. I'm very proud of her resolve. As far as the allegations and the complaint filed, we will let the filing speak for itself and will litigate the facts in court, not in media.
Yeah, so I mean, that in itself, so if somebody sends you a civil case and they're naming themselves Jane Doe, essentially, so I don't know who this person is. So in turn, I sue you under a pseudonym. That's pretty much tit for tat, right? So you're not telling me who's suing me. So I want to know some more information of what's going on. So I'm going to file a lawsuit against you because, look, I don't know who's suing me. So tell me some information. So in turn, Jay-Z also, too, had some investigations going on trying to get information about this attorney.
I see.
I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, he doesn't know who this person is. He's saying he's been asking friends and colleagues, things of that nature, who he was. Obviously, he doesn't know who's suing him, so he can't ask her anything. So his follow-up, the attorney's follow-up, saying that he's harassing me and my client, he doesn't even know who the client is.
Right.
So that doesn't even make sense to me.
When you can approach a billionaire and pull him behind and say, hey, we just want to do this. And he's like, no, I'm not going to give you a red cent, even if you didn't ask for any money. Like, because, let's just be
what a mediation is at the end of the day is a situation where you want to get paid. So I don't have to physically say,
I don't have to say I want $5 million.
I want $5 million, but I'm coming down to sit with you well, I won't say every, but 9 times out of 10, somebody requests a mediation, they're trying to get paid. So,
because honestly, why else would you do this?
Yeah.
Right.
Something doesn't smell right here. When you talk about, okay, it's the 2000 MTV Music Awards. Okay. And I think about the backdrop. Now, mind you, Jay-Z was Jay-Z at this time. He was coming off of, selling, I think, $5 million with Hard Knock Life. This, this is Hard Knock Life tour brought hip hop tours back. He's probably one of the most famous people, in entertainment at this time. Okay. Yeah. And this is the MTV Music Awards. Now, for those of you who are a little bit younger, there was a time when the MTV Music Awards really meant something. Okay, the eyes of the world were on this particular event. So you mean to tell me there was a 13-year-old just running around trying to get into people's limos and nobody, I mean, don't get me wrong. The entertainment world has its own set of morals that we don't understand. But you mean, because 13, it's me one thing if you said 16, 17, but 13, I'm thinking about my goddaughter who's 12, 13 right now. And I'm like, how did no one figure this out? No one's saying
You'd
how.
be surprised.
Well, let's finish this.
Yeah, let's
before
get to that part before we get, where I start trying
Yeah.
to workshop how this could even happen.
Yeah. So Jay-Z respond based upon the last thing, and it says, my lawyer received a blackmail attempt called demand letter from a lawyer, in quotes, named Tony Busby. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. He said, no, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. No, I won't give you one red penny, which is what you guys kind of referenced. Mm-hmm. These allegations are heinous in nature, and I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one, which I think kind of makes sense as well. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. This lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these type of theatrics. Now, this goes to your point, Terry, which I didn't know before, that he had done some research on who Tony Busby was because he didn't know. I have no idea how you have come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby. Sound like a conservative out here. But I promise you, I have seen your kind many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine. Marines are known for their valor. You have you have neither honor nor dignity. That's a weird line.
That's weird.
My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I have to sit our children down, one of whom is at an age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty of greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. My heart and support goes out to true victims in the world who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability in this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out the project of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Your only network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me. If not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. I look forward to showing you just how different I am.
I just know, like, I saw something with Will Smith, and the reason he keeps lawyers on retainer. He said, I get sued no less than 20 times a year. And that's what it is when you're a high profile celebrity, is like people will sue you for, like, if your hand brushes against them when you're getting out of a car, you know, and then there would be somebody who says, my arm was hurt when you did that, and I need money for pain and suffering. And I'm pretty sure Jay is the same way. Like, he gets sued probably 20, 30, maybe 50 times a year. A lot of times it's cheaper to go ahead and just give these people a little funky piece of change than to go to court and prolong this. Right. But, you know, here he is. He's like, you know, it seems like he's willing to go ahead and spend some money to get this out of here. When somebody says
he's a billionaire,
when somebody says, yeah, shouldn't you be putting this in criminal court, especially considering there's no statute of limitation for the crimes that you're alleging me? Then let's go ahead and do that, you know? And so, like, if you are someone who's guilty, that's not, or somebody who may, even if you think maybe in the haze of the early 2000s and all the partying I was doing, that maybe this is something that might have happened, that you would be like, all right, what do you want? And whatever little money you want is probably nothing. It's crumbs on my table, you know. But Jay-Z is like, nope, nobody's getting any money for this one.
I think Jay knows what's at stake. He bitched it in his response with his kids, the uncomfortable conversations that he would have to have, and also his brand, period, just him as an individual. There's a lot.
Well, that's already happening anyway because it's public. So he was ready for that part.
But what I'm saying is he still knows, because he's getting dragged regardless, because nobody really knows. But there's a lot at stake, is what I'm saying. Like, he's got a lot out here. So yeah, I to me, the way he sounds, it's like, go ahead. And you don't see people come out with that much like
vitriol.
Yeah, like he's like, nah, let's go. You know what I mean?
It's at the end of the day, it's his reputation on the line.
That part.
So, like, say this situation happens and he wants it to go away. He wants it to remain a private mediation where I got to break bread.
Yep.
So anything can happen to where people find that out regardless. I mean, Michael Jackson had similar situations to where he settled cases so it would go away. And then other people start suing him as well. So now he has to pay out more bread. Mike was one of them people, he's just trying to make it go away. Then he actually went up against somebody and won the case. And it's a situation where the law will follow up if they find something that they can sue you for criminally. That never happened with Mike. I know a lot of people play around and say, well, I think he did it. He never was sued criminally. These were all civil cases that he ended up having.
Facts.
Jay is a billionaire. He's in a situation where he's a very prolific individual along with his wife. So he sees something like this, or they're trying to tarnish my situation that I have going on here. If that's the case, I'm not about to sit down with y'all and give y'all nothing, because that's never going to be on record that I settle with none of y'all. I don't do that. So if these charges that y'all have against me, if y'all are so for real about it, charge me criminally. I'm ready for that. And if I did it, then I'm supposed to be in jail. He's pretty much owning it. Like, if he did it, I'm supposed to be in jail. I'm not supposed to break you off no money and it just goes away. Because that's more of a moral clause to me, because I feel like anybody that touches kids in any kind of situation should probably be put in front of a firing squad. Not even necessarily just go to jail. But he's standing on business by saying that he knew this was about to come out public. That's why this was already ready for as soon as it was announced.
I wondered, I didn't know that had happened before there. So I was I was like, wow, he dropped this like right away. So.
Yeah, that's typical Jay form too. Had it locked and loaded.
Yeah. So he knew this was going to happen. So he was ready for, hey, well, it's time to go to war, because my reputation is on the line. I'm big part of brands. I'm head of NFL. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Super Bowl.
I'm not about to let this affect me. Like he said, I'm built different. Y'all have built a lot of cases around Puffy. Puffy actually has some evidence that is very damning. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z is like, just because I've been around Puff does not mean I'm on this same Puff stuff.
Yep.
He hasn't denounced Puff. He hasn't done anything like that either. But he's like, I'm a different type of individual. I'm not going down like that. So if we gonna play that route, y'all need to either let me know who this is that dropped this case, or y'all need to dismiss it, because I'm not about to play these games with you. And this attorney has a track record of doing this type of thing too, as far as bringing up charges and getting money out of people and trying to leverage it.
Referencing the ambulance chaser and stuff of that manner. And and even still, like, even if the lady was a minor back then, she's not now.
Right.
So I guess there probably is an argument for the anonymity.
Yep.
As far as not wanting to be blasted in the public like that, to some degree. Assuming the other side that this is true, right? So there is something to be said about that, of wanting to be drugged by public opinion to that manner. So I can understand that, but I still feel like if you're going to have a mediation to some degree, that could be talked about and NDAs could be formed in that type of situation, could it not? I mean, so I don't know. I don't know.
And I've seen some other information that came out too. I don't know if this is true, but allegedly there was an individual that this attorney tried to pay to pretty much play the victim, essentially. And they explained to her, this situation, we have a high profile celebrity and we want you to say these things. Yeah. And the person decided, I'm not doing that. You know, I didn't have anything to do with that. I'm not doing it. So it's almost like this Jane Doe took on that job that they were trying to give somebody else. And that person was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Well, you know, because I referred to 2000 and Jay-Z being Jay-Z. He's like, you got to understand, like, this is at a point where I'm pretty sure Jay-Z had all of his time, or a lot of his time, especially surrounding the MTV Movie Awards.
Boycotting the Grammys.
VMAs. Yeah. Like, this is a time where it was like, I'm pretty sure, like, he had his schedule super planned out, you know, and there are people who can vouch for his whereabouts during this time. So, you know, the thing is, like, if you're going to, like, because I still believe in not so much the conspiracy of, if you are what the mafia, the so-called mafia, is called an earner, like, you're going to be protected. You know, the problem that Puffy ran into is that, you know, he's no longer an earner. So videotapes start leaking, you know, certain things start coming out. Jay-Z still is very much intertwined with the NFL, like Terry said. You know, if you know about his deal with LVMH,
he got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, so
Rock Sports.
He is still very much what they would call an earner. So even if there was some validity to this, you know, it's not going to go very far. But like from what I'm reading, like I said, and I could be made to be a fool in a couple weeks because something else will come out. I'm like, this does look like some foolishness.
I feel like I just need more information if I'm going to really be super invested in like having an opinion on it. Like it's not really my place to like care super much about this because it just seems like a thing between them at this point that just happens to be public.
The reason why I care one thing is because I have a daughter and she's nowhere near that age, but even at that age, she's still innocent. I don't see, and I hope I'm right with this. I just don't see his character aligning with being on that type of deviance. You know what I'm saying? I just don't see that. We're talking about, and we can't say certain words because what I'm saying? We don't want to. Yeah. But I mean, y'all understand what I'm saying. I just don't see him as one of those type of individuals that would pursue a situation like this.
And I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, I don't either, but I don't want to also diminish the other person that I don't know because I don't know what their character is either. And so I just don't know what it is. So it's just speculation at this point.
That part right there alone is the part that I thought about. It's because we don't know that person's character. And whenever you have situations where people are brought to task on things that actually happen and they're dealt with accordingly, that's good. That's supposed to happen. But when you have they were called a Jane Doe in the paperwork, same situation, the opposite side, we don't know this personality or history or whatever, and then let's say everything goes away and this person got a chance to almost ruin him, but we never found out anything about that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I don't know, man.
Probably never will.
No, we probably.
But what do you? But
look, man, that's just not how it works because you know what? There are a lot of women who are victims of people who are just deviants and weirdos.
Facts.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And like that's why there has to be a clause where we protect these women's anonymity. Now, mind you, there are some women who just lie, but I don't want to make it seem like that's just what happens all the time and every man.
No, I don't agree. I don't believe that.
Like that because of these women who lie. I don't want to do that because I have friends, people who I care about, who I know have had to go through things like this, and when not on.
Every single woman that I think I've ever met has gone through this to some degree.
Like when you look, this is the thing. If you really are friends with women and you talk and there have been like, it's almost like this sad, messed up rite of passage to be done wrong by men. You know what I'm saying? In a way that is uncomfortable and that is in many times criminal. But, there's also this thing where we have to be very honest about when you are, because we're not in that we're not on that level.
Nope.
When you are a famous, rich man, you are a target. I know a lot of people don't feel sorry for Chris Brown because he did, beat up Rihanna and that was foul. But, he has been accused of things multiple times and then it's been all been dismissed because these women, it was just a money play or these women were just looking for clout, and so because I remember when he came here, he was here and people were all on like, I can't believe people were going to see Chris Brown. And like, I'm like, well, did he do something? I mean, and we're not trying to dismiss what he did against Rihanna, but like, what did he do recently that got y'all upset? And he's like, well, it was this, that, and the third. I'm not trying to defend him, but I'm like, these are things that have all been dismissed. These are all things, dismissed. These are all things where he was found not guilty, but it was things that like where the woman came out and said she lied. Yeah. And so I just don't want anyone to think, when I say anything that I say, I'm not trying to diminish like the abuse that women go through because it's really messed up. But also it's messed up when you have women who are looking for attention and for money who accuse rich and famous men of things that they did not do. But also when I think about 13, maybe it's because I have a problem with 13. Yeah, we should all have a problem with 13.
Absolutely.
Because I think about I think about what, if you look at an old yearbook from when you were 12, 13, that means you going from 6th to 7th grade.
I got a niece that age, bro.
You know what I'm saying? And that's I don't care how much makeup or maybe if women, there was always, a couple of girls that might have developed quickly. They still look like children.
And at 13.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, what part of the game is this in the society where we can even entertain the fact that there are 13-year-old girls that could be at an award show going from limo to limo, you know, and then
weird,
there's
man.
nobody who wants to say anything about this.
That's weird.
Like,
man.
I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm just saying this is 100% true, and this is what happened. The fact that, like, we're just in a space, and mind you, at this point it's 25 years ago. But if that's what was going on 25 years ago, I can imagine what people imagine if the game evolves, what's going on now.
Well, see, the thing about it is too, when we get to talking about Hollywood and the entertainment business, it's not necessarily passe for a child to be attending one of these parties. I remember back when Studio 54 was open, they showed a picture of Drew Barrymore in that club.
Oh, she
now,
used
do
to
you
frequent.
know? Yeah, you know the kind of debauchery that was going on in that club when she was in there.
She used to frequent that club.
It's documented.
Yeah.
It's
So,
documented.
I don't think it's far fetched as far as a child being in one of these parties. Now, what
Depending
I
on
do,
who they are.
yeah, again,
you know what I mean?
she was a celebrity, so that's why she was there.
That's different.
And then you also had Webster or Emmanuel Lewis and kids like that were at these situations too. But I just maybe
had to
for
be
the thought
famous.
of maybe for my mindset being, I ain't gonna say 100% morally sound, but from a moral level, that's just crazy to me that anybody would put a child in a situation
Right.
to where that could happen. And that, I think that's one of the things.
It's just hard
that-
to believe, I guess, is kind of
It's-
what you're saying.
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe that. And what's going on with me here is not so much the victim blaming or siding with anybody. To me, it looks like the attorney is at fault here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, these are all hypotheticals. I don't know what's going on with this situation. It just doesn't sound right to me,
Right.
the way that it reads. And from his background, I mean, he's been trying to build this case up against Diddy for a while. So he's the main.
Talking about Jay-Z?
No, Busby.
Oh,
yeah.
So all the cases against Diddy are through him.
Oh, really?
Yes. So he
Interesting.
has a whole lot of people that are suing Shawn Diddy Combs.
So this is Jay-Z almost by proxy in a way, like it's
Yes.
not. It wasn't okay.
An
I see.
unnamed female
Like he's
celebrity.
taking phone calls, trying to just stack them up.
I see.
Yeah, so
stack 'em up.
he's pretty much the one that has facilitated everybody coming forth against him. And when it started happening, he was saying that there's other names that will be named later or other celebrities,
I
so to
see.
speak. So this is and I don't like to call it a witch hunt when it comes to abuse.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's a serious thing.
Right.
But when you're talking about an individual that may not have been involved with this and you're trying to get money out of them, that's some crazy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Well, we have the follow up here from Jay-Z's statement. Tony Busby tweeted this. So the New York Times contacted me to ask for my response to rapper Jay-Z's allegation that I tried to extort and blackmail him. My response is pretty straightforward. No one has made any threats. Jay-Z's assertions are bogus and laughable. Instead, our firm sent a standard demand letter seeking a mediation on behalf of a woman who alleges Jay-Z essayed her as a minor. The letter was vetted and approved by our client, whose preference was to attempt resolution short of filing a lawsuit. This approach is common in these types of cases. What you are seeing played out now is a coordinated and desperate effort to focus the public's attention on me personally to avoid attention on the allegations being made by my clients. This effort has included harassing my family and colleagues and even offering former clients money to sue me, which is illegal. When an alleged perpetrator behaves in this manner, wildly asserting that a basic demand letter is extortion and aggressively using media to attack the opposing lawyer, while at the same time ignoring the allegations being made by the alleged victim, it reminds me of a famous line from Shakespeare. The lady doth protest too much, methinks. We intend to address all of these issues with the court in due course. Let me be clear, we will not be bullied or intimidated by these shenanigans, and our clients won't be silenced.
No, I mean, they kind of are silent because we don't know who this is.
Thank you.
And once again, you know, they say seeking mediation on behalf of the woman who alleges the Jay-Z's essay. I mean, the mediation is about, hey, what can we get for this?
Yeah.
And the attorney gets something for that as well.
Oh
He
yeah,
sure
come on.
does.
That's how this works.
Terry, did you say that Jay-Z responded again to this, or was that the last?
So his attorney responded again today in reference to this, pretty much telling or asking the judge to dismiss this case
I see.
unless y'all come forth and let us know who this Jane Doe is.
I see.
They want to know information because, I mean, the attorney was upset with him for filing under a pseudonym I mean, you sent me a case under a pseudonym. Essentially, I only know you as the attorney. Right. I don't know who this is charging me. And really, I feel a certain type of way about both y'all. So I want to know who this is. And I think that's, if I'm, especially if I'm not guilty, I want to know exactly who this is.
Yeah.
And go from there.
And
because
I think that makes sense. Like, go ahead and file the criminal charges too, if that's a thing. You know, like at this point, like, if you're Jay-Z and you don't even know who this person is, if that's what it is, if there is no name being shared, I can see that.
I'm going to write a check to Jane Doe.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Basically, you'd be like, I'm going to write a check to Tony Busby, and he's going to give Jane Doe
and he's going to give
money.
it to whomever. It's like it just feels like a threat.
Yeah.
So
this threat's pimp.
Yeah.
You know what? Men just in general do better. You know, and this is not me trying to cast any aspersions on Jay-Z, but just overall, I saw something where Lenny Kravitz, you know, he put out a record this year that people ignored, but was very good. And he talked about in one of the interviews how he hasn't had sex in 9 years. And people were like, oh, come on, that sounds like some foolishness. You know, you Lenny Kravitz, you know, you can move the way you want to move. But you know what we have not heard is anybody trying to accuse Lenny Kravitz of anything.
Nope.
That level of sexual discipline has served him in a time where everybody is being called to the carpet for whatever, you know, whether it be bad feelings or actual criminal acts. So get these kids from away from around you. You know, even if I don't care if they could be young looking, I don't want to see anybody close to me. I don't have any 13-year-old friends that I'm not related to. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think that's just something that we should just stop entertaining. There's already too much exploitation of kids in the music entertainment industry, especially young girls. It's like going back at this point 50, 100 years when you hear about like Judy Garland and Shirley Temple, like you could take it back at that, and they all got these wild stories, and they just think, oh, it's just what was going on. It was like, no, this was abuse, this was wrong, this is foul. I just think that like we're in a place right now to where if you are a man and you have any level of clout, I guess that's what we'll call it, just because that's what everybody understands who probably listens. Like you have to be, I'm not even saying be careful, just have a level of discipline about yourself, and you know, move in a way that you would want someone to move if they're around your daughter or your sister or your aunt or your mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think there's so much to where we are not taking care of the women in this society, you know, because like sometimes I brought this up when we were talking about Puff Daddy before, Sean Combs before, where I said, where are the men? Like if I knew that my 13, I mean, I don't, you know, they said something about, you know, Jane Doe's father, and it was like,
picked her up from the gas station after
this is
crazy, and then nothing happened after that.
And,
That's crazy.
This is the thing, like if and you know, like I said, we only have one of our members here who's a father. You know, I can only speak to, you know, nieces and cousins and whatnot. But like if it was a situation like that, and say I had a daughter, like I either want justice or I want blood. You can't give me.
That's the time to kill.
You can't give me any money. I don't want to sit at like either somebody's going to jail or somebody's got to be unalived. So you know, all this. You know, that's where we need to take. I'm not saying that's where we need to take the morality to, but like, I don't know, man.
That's what I'm on, honestly.
Yeah, I don't, justice or blood. That's all I know.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about me being a father, picking up my 13-year-old who escaped this party, who is half dressed or whatnot, and she calls me from the gas station and says, "Come pick me up. I snuck out."
At that point, I don't care what you did.
You can't witness or understand or even see that she's been sexually abused. I mean, that's going to be obvious. And what that conversation that I'm going to have with her on the way home too is going to let me know what happened.
No, you take
because I'm not stopping. We're not done.
You're
talking
going to the police station
until I figure out what happened with you, and then you're going there, and then I'm gonna figure something out that might cost me my life. But nah, we ain't doing that, man. And that's another reason why this just sounds so strange to me, because I don't understand the timeline of how these things happen. So they say to speak, or what they said happened, and nothing happened until now, until
25 years later.
25 years later, when he got in trouble initially with Cassie, which what turned out it was a civil case at first. He didn't settle until those couple days after, but it was picked up. And that's the reason why his turned into a criminal case.
But I think also the thing that we have to keep in mind here is that the levels of power at play, like Diddy is a person of power.
Yeah.
And he holds a lot of influence, and that works across society. And we talked about it on a different completely plane last week when we talked about Spotify. Well, the episode hasn't come out yet, but talked about Spotify and the owner's influence and how I can yell at the top of my lungs, but Drake has a lot more power and influence over something that I have. And there's something to be said about you can yell at the top of your lungs, but it's not going to impact anything. And when the momentum hit, when all this stuff happened with Diddy, now is the time where you can actually come out and be heard and not be chastised and all that stuff. So I feel like that aligns into it a little bit, but still,
catch a case,
but still,
he's gonna catch a case, or I'm gonna die trying to put this case on him.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying?
But that would be my argument as to why, or I don't even know if it's an argument, but that's the other side of, like if there's so many hypotheticals here, right? So it's like if the parents didn't know and she's been holding on to this for X amount of years or whatever,
and that happens too.
And
I understand.
So if that's where this kind of makes sense, even though it doesn't make sense really at all. It's kind of a bizarre claim, but I don't know.
All PDFs need to burn in hell, regardless of who you are.
Yeah.